Welcome to Haunted Hangover Haunt Reviews. I'm Louie, and I got a chance to check out the Mystic Museum Presents 90's Slasher and The Lost Toys. So this isn't a haunt in the traditional sense once again, so that's two haunt reviews in a row where I'm not actually covering a haunted attraction, but this is a horror exhibit. So, if you're not familiar with the Mystic Museum, it's an occult and horror shop located in Burbank, California. It's divided into 3 separate sections, each focusing on oddities and horror. My personal favorite is a new addition because when I visited a few years ago, I don't remember this being there. I don't even remember what was in its place, and that's the camp horror area. And this entire area is themed around the genre of camp horror movies. You've got references to Blair Witch, Friday the 13th, Evil Dead 2, and of course Sleepaway Camp. And they just have all these little kind of details sprinkled throughout. They've got an Ed statue from Evil Dead 2. They've got little Jason Voorhees jumping out from behind the boat. You can take a photo. A recreation of the Sleepaway Camp cover, which was sick. Literally a giant sneaker with a knife stabbed through the bottom of it. Really cool stuff. And that's what I like about the Mystic Museum. When you go into it, you want to buy something, and you're also impressed at just the surroundings and it's just how much work they put into this store. It's not a boring store that just wants you to buy shit and leave. Like, you want to go in, look around, and then on your way out, fine, I'll buy a shirt, I'll buy some pins or whatever. And I just give them a lot of credit for that. It's a really unique store, and I haven't been to many other stores like it. Now, the Mystic Museum also has these pop-up exhibits that happen from time to time. A few years ago, I got a chance to check out Slashback Video, which was a recreation of an old mom-and-pop video store that we all remember from back in the day. It was a really cool experience, and I was looking forward to what they might be doing next. So on a recent visit to California, I decided to visit Mystic Museum once again, and to my surprise, they were offering 2 separate exhibits, with the first being called 90's Slasher. Now, this exhibit is a love letter to 90's horror films with displays based on Scream, Candyman, Silence of the Lambs, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Bride of Chucky, Nightbreed, even Tremors had a display, which I could really appreciate because you don't really see much related to that film, and Tremors is awesome. So Scream was probably the most prominent in this exhibit for obvious reasons. I think most of you can agree that Scream is the ultimate 90's slasher film, so come on now, it makes sense for Scream to be front and center during this entire experience. They had recreations of the living room from the first film, complete with popcorn, beer. There was a camera setup recording you and casting it onto the TV, just like in the scene from the first movie. They also had a small setup that looked just like the kitchen from the Casey Becker opening kill in the original Scream, Jiffy Pop and all. Something I really liked about this was there was an interactive element. So for a few extra dollars, they offered you this small knife, which I'm showing now in the video version of this episode. And on this knife, if you look, there's a small sticker that says Mystic Museum. Now, when you're walking through the exhibit, there are other stickers kind of scattered throughout. And when you go up to them and scan your knife, something happens. It can be trivia. It can be a lighting effect. It can be a sound effect. And it was really cool. I didn't expect that. And I was trying to figure out how they did it when I was going through the exhibit. I was like, oh, how the hell are they doing this? I guess there's sensors or something like that. But yeah, really, really cool. So when I stepped into the kitchen, so the Casey Becker recreation of the kitchen, there was a phone there. And I think I scanned my knife, this knife, and picked up the phone. And on the other end was Ghostface. He or she was asking me trivia questions. Really awesome. And there was also this really cool, again, lighting effect by the Candyman figure. So you walk up to the Candyman figure, mannequin statue, and you scan your knife. And over this doorway that leads you into the next area, you see like Candyman's face, you hear the bees. It was awesome. And Candyman's one of my favorite movies, so just kind of seeing that, I was all hyped and excited, had to take a picture. So that was really cool. Another one of my favorite, I guess, areas there, or setups, was the Bride of Chucky one. They basically recreated the resurrection scene with Jennifer Tilly with the pentagram and the Chucky doll in the middle of it and the Voodoo for Dummies book that's sitting there. And when you scan your knife, Chucky basically starts talking shit to you. You hear Chucky's voice, and he's talking all kinds of shit. A lot of these feel like photo ops, in all honesty, so adding this interactive element definitely made the experience more interesting. And you spend more time there because of this. And I highly recommend, if you check out Mystic Museum 90s Slasher, that you take them up on their offer and get the little 90s Slasher interactive knife situation that they have going on. So the next exhibit was The Lost Toys. This was a nostalgic trip down memory lane with a shit ton of 80s and 90s monster and horror toys. The first room is literally littered with everything you remember as a kid. If you're a horror kid like me, there's a Splatterhouse arcade cabinet. There's a ton of Goosebumps stuff. They even had a setup or a photo op of the Horrorland cover. You could stand in front of it. It said The Lost Toys in it, but it was that like demon head creeping over the billboard. Really cool stuff. They had tons of old Freddy toys. They had an alien photo op, and there was even a Big Frank. Big Frank makes an appearance, and I love my Big Frank. If you guys have listened to the show, you know I've talked about Big Frank in the past, and even though I own him, still seeing one in the wild always brings a smile to my face. If you're a collector like me, you're gonna really appreciate this exhibit because even if you own this stuff, just seeing it all together on display is wild. It's crazy. Just like there was stuff there I own, and then there was stuff there I completely forgot about. And I was like, oh shit, they had this, it's funny, they had this tongue. I don't know if any of you guys remember this. Maybe some of our listeners, some of you guys remember this, but I remember during Halloween, they had this, it was kind of random, it was just on the wall. They had this tongue that you put, like this prop, you put on your tongue, and it looks like a chunk was bit out of it. I completely forgot that existed, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, little 6-year-old Louie remember seeing that at like a Party City or some shit. Like, amazing. Now, the crown jewel of this exhibit is they basically built an 80s and 90s bedroom, and they set up an old TV playing toy commercials. They've got a ginormous My Pet Monster looming over the bed. It was awesome, and probably the dream bedroom most of us wish we had as a kid. Like, me talking about it does not do it justice. I'll show some pictures and video, but like just seeing this in person was insane. It was crazy. I was like, wow, just every corner of this faux bedroom had something. Goosebump bed sheets, an Atari, a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, a My Buddy, the real Ghostbusters toys, literally a Slimer. They had old Halloween decorations like on the wall. There was a giant good guy like photo op box that you could stand behind. Like just everything about this room brought a tear to my eye. I was like, wow, this is true beauty right here. It's funny, my wife, I walked in and she is like, I have to take a picture because I could see how much joy just standing in this room is bringing you. So she took this really funny video of me where she pans the entire room. I'm going to put it in this video, in this episode, where she pans the room and I'm just sitting there pretending to fuck around on the computer, and I turn around and just give a thumbs up because that shit was dope, man. It was really cool and worth the price of admission. There was also this scavenger hunt where you get this piece of paper and you have to go around and find these QR codes, and each QR code's a different part of the question you have to answer. And then when you get all the parts, answer the question, and then you can put it into this little slot, and that's how you enter this contest. I forget what you win. I'm not going to say the answer here because that would be cheating, and I don't know if a winner has been picked yet. But nonetheless, it was really cool that they offered that. Just something to do, once again, to not rush through the exhibit. Now, I'll be very honest. I don't have any cons or dislikes when it comes to both 90s Slasher and The Lost Toys. I paid around 60 or 70 bucks for each ticket. There were two of us, so altogether was 60 or 70 bucks. And that included the interactive 90s Slasher knife interactive gimmick here, which I don't regret purchasing. I don't think 60 or 70 bucks for two people is that high. I could maybe see someone complaining about the size of the exhibits and the price, but I'll keep it real here. if you're a cheapskate, maybe avoid this one. But otherwise, I think it's worth the price of admission. Overall, the Mystic Museum Presents 90s Slashers and The Lost Toys were both great experiences. If you're around my age and grew up watching these films and playing with these toys, I guarantee you're going to have a good time. You're going to have a blast at these exhibits. Even if you just check out the store itself, it's awesome. Buy some shit. Go support these guys. I envy all you California West Coast people for having a store like this. We don't have anything like this in New York City. So y'all better appreciate it. So that was my review for the Mystic Museum Presents 90s Slashers and The Lost Toys. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. That's right, TikTok, at Haunted Hangover. Be sure to check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/HauntedHangover31. If you can rate and review us, that would be greatly appreciated. And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is more booze. Catch you guys later.